Hey, this is Steve from myothercareer.wordpress.com. It is, well, it's really early. I'm working from home today. And I thought before I got started with my work day, I would take a couple minutes and reflect back on my entry into the Creative Screenwriting 2010 Cyberspace Open. If you are not a subscriber to Creative Screenwriting, you really should look into doing it. It's very reasonable. Articles full of just great stuff for both the hobbyist and amateur writer, and even the semi-pro, I guess, to read. Just some really good insights, a lot of interviews with writers and other film industry people. It's just some rock-solid stuff. But one of the benefits of being a subscriber is being on their mailing list, and they send out a lot of coupons and deals and contests that they think you need to be aware of, or whether it's promotional consideration they receive or not. It's usually stuff that would be handy for a writer. One of the contests they sponsor along with Coverage Inc. is the Cyberspace Open. And the gist of it is you get a premise on Friday evening that describes a scenario you need to write about. And then you have until early Monday morning to submit that premise, and it's a 3 to 5 page premise. First round, everybody can enter in. They choose 100 finalists. Do the same thing again about a month later with those 100 finalists, but you only have 24 hours. From that 100 finalists, they choose 3 finalists, videotape those entries, and then the fans vote on which of those 3 will win. I thought that was really a neat idea. It was a fun little project, weekend project. Entry fee was very reasonable. It was about 15 bucks. And it was a fun weekend project to do. So I entered in. I don't think I'm going to make it to the next round, although I don't believe what I wrote was bad. I think it was actually pretty decent. I just don't have a feeling it's going to be what the judges are looking for. When they say they want the inspiration for the hero to be unique, original, that leads me to believe they're looking for some very specific type of things. Although I know original and unique is kind of subjective. When you've got probably a couple thousand people entering this contest, odds are they're going to find 100 people, at least 100 people, whose stuff is more unique than what you wrote in. So I'm not anticipating getting to the second round. But my goal wasn't to just settle. My goal was to write as good as I could, and I think I did. And I think a lot of people probably submitted some really, really good stuff, and they won't not make it to the second round because it wasn't good. It just wasn't original enough for what the judges are probably looking for. The idea for my story actually came from some stuff that popped into my head when I was working on Pride is Forever. I don't know why, but I had gotten this idea about a TV show of an inner city school without a sports program. Budgets are terrible. Kids are in and out of gangs and single-family homes and teen pregnancies. Graduation rate's horrible. Dropout rate's really high. My dog's going to go crazy because, God forbid, a car drives by my front window. Just a bad atmosphere. And either a new teacher or somebody comes in and has a history in track and wants to start a track team. They have a facility. It's just needs some work. So that teacher starts up or whoever starts up the track program, and one of the main characters in the series would be a young girl who has never run track before, but for whatever reason, she's just got some natural talent. She's very timid, comes from a rough home, and finds out she's good at this, but is very hesitant to really embrace what her role should be in this team. And people start to look up to her and other students, as she's kind of becomes a de facto leader, and other people start running because if she can do it, they think they can't do. And for the first time, these kids who have everything against them have kind of something to believe in and something to work towards. And that, it was just something that was just in my head, and I jotted a little bit, some brief notes, but when you're working on a subject, other things pop into your head all the time, and that's what happened. So it was only natural while I was working on the outline and notes and history for Pride is Forever that some other type of track and field related idea would pop into my head. Well, when the concept for when the premise for the Cyberspace Open came in, that was the first thing that popped into my head, because from what I read, the Cyberspace Open was kind of supposed to mimic you working on a movie or a TV show, when you're given a weekend to rewrite this important scene. And so, or come up with this important scene that's supposed to, turn this hero in a certain direction, or your protagonist in a certain direction. And this is the TV show that popped into my head, this idea. And I said, well, maybe I should write that moment where this character I was thinking about really embraces what her destiny is, so to speak, or what her goal or outline is going to be. And that's what I decided to do. I chose the steeplechase just because I had a lot of familiarity writing it, and I could come up with a very specific section of the race at the end where I could add in a dramatic element and then have a payoff right afterwards. And so I chose the final water pit. She falls, gives up, remembers the conversation she has, forces herself out of the water, and soldiers on. And yeah, that was that. So again, I don't know if it's going to be what the judges are looking for. I don't think it is. I think I've got too much that happens outside of the conversation that's supposed to take place. I'm not sure my dialogue's sharp enough or witty or original enough. But like I said, I gave it my own, and it was a lot of fun to do, and I look forward to competing again next year in the project and the contest. And if you haven't done so, take a look at the contest page, and this weekend, just try to do the same thing. I know you can't enter the contest now, but look at the premise and try to do the same thing. It's a good exercise. And, it was fun to write it and write a draft and then whittle it down and whittle it down and whittle it down and whittle it down until it had nothing extra in it at all but the core elements of what I wanted to get across. And I went from about 5 1/4 pages down to 4, and it was a good exercise. So I'll put a link to the website on the video posting and the blog post so you can check it out yourself. But yeah, that's it. So back into moving into my next project, and I'll have some more on that later this week. I'm going out of town this weekend, so post will probably be kind of limited starting Thursday. But yeah, so until next time, this is Steve for myothercareer.wordpress.com.